Hello and welcome to Daily Star's Evening News Analysis. With us, we have our consulting editor, Mr. Kamal Ahmed. How are you, Kamal Bhai?
It's good to be with you here. Let's proceed.
Right. With just 2 days till election, obviously we are seeing last minute preparations and the parties making their, appeals until, till election campaign stops tomorrow morning. If I understand correctly, it's tomorrow morning, I think 7 a.m.
It's just 12 hours more
Right.
of campaigning. So early morning it will stop.
So we are seeing all the, big shots and leaders, top leaders, making their speeches and appeals in Dhaka.
Yes, in Dhaka today, it really looks like that there's going to be an election. And people actually felt it. Whoever was attending office or personal businesses had to come out of the house and work. The congestion and traffic jam, you will feel it that there are some political activities going on. It's on high pitch. My colleagues reported they were stuck in the traffic for more than an hour to come to office. It was in the early hours of this day, probably around 10, 11 a.m. So that has been continuing, and in the evening, there are almost in all streets processions, rallies in favor of candidates. It's not only the national figures, it's actually local candidates in each constituencies. They have come out with their supporters for final showdown. So it's really, it's a climax actually.
We are seeing the alliance leaders taking the stage together as well. For example, in Mohammadpur, the Jamaat Amir and NCP convener Nahid Islam campaigned for Mamunul Haq. And we heard some familiar rhetoric there as well, which we have been hearing over the last few days. The Jamaat Amir at the program had said a group is plotting to hijack election through the back door.
This is quite actually a strange thing. For last few days, leaders of the two main parties, they are making accusations that some groups are trying to hijack or steal the election. I don't know what's the basis of that kind of warning. And the problem is actually with these rhetorics, people get confused. Some people fear violence. And if this fear of violence spreads, then the voter presence will be affected. And that's not good for the election or the democracy. So I would really ask or urge politicians to be very objective and be very cautious about these aspects, that not to scare people on the voting, about the situation of the voting day.
Right. Now, moving on to another major development, the EC had announced that mobile phones would not be allowed within 400 years of polling centers. And all the political parties are objecting to it and very vehemently objecting to it, to the point that NCP, Jamaat, and Islami Andolan Bangladesh have threatened that they would besiege Election Commission.
Yes, it is quite strange again, the EC's behavior. They are issuing guidances or restrictions piece by piece. We first heard that they won't allow motorcycles for 72 hours, beginning from tomorrow, or tonight actually, 12 o'clock in the night, so 0 hours. And then came this story about restrictions on mobile phones within 400 yards of a polling center. Initially, we thought that it's a blanket ban. Later, after journalists' protests, this ban, they said that journalists will be exempted. But now political parties are protesting because they also need to keep their communication channels open. Because if those communications channels remain closed, then their liaison with polling agents will be very difficult. So that's why they have a genuine concern, and their demand for scrapping this ban is quite legitimate one. But on the other hand, if there is any security issue, if the authorities suspect that mobile phone network would be used for sabotaging activities, then there must be some clarification, and some people need exemption, and it could be there could be good reason for preventing sabotage or attacks or violence in polling centers. So it has to be a balanced approach. I don't know how this dispute is going to be resolved. The another piece of restriction that came into effect is that the EC said outsiders won't be allowed in any particular constituencies to enter or get in. So this is again creating confusion. What does this outsiders mean?
Right.
Because many people in Dhaka and other parts of the city, other parts of the country, they probably, especially those who live in tenancy agreements like renting houses, they change their constituencies frequently. They live in one constituency, but voter is from the previous constituency in a different address. So they need to move. Their movement should be allowed. So I don't know. It's also creating confusion and resentment among many people.
Right. Now, interesting turn of events. There have been some last minute sort of appeals and writ petitions. There has been a petition seeking stay on Nahid Islam, NCP convener Nahid Islam's candidacy over dual citizenship claim. And the petition says that Nahid Islam holds a citizenship of a Commonwealth of Dominica. Not really very familiar. I've heard of Dominican Republic, but it says Nahid is allegedly a citizen of the Commonwealth of Dominica and concealed the information in the affidavit he submitted to the Election Commission.
Well, it's probably the reaction of Nahid Islam's writ petition against his opponent from the BNP,
Right.
M.A. Qayyum, because Nahid went to the High Court and lost the High Court battle, then lodged an appeal with the appellate division, and that appellate division has accepted or agreed to hear that petition, but it has been the date of hearing is somewhere after the election is over. So I think this is a tit for tat action on behalf of two rival candidates. I'm not sure how it will end up in the end. So let's see.
Now, the BNP chairman, Mr. Tariq Rahman, he is also campaigning in Dhaka, and during an election rally, he has said that running a country is not as easy as making speeches, saying that BNP can transform the fate of Bangladesh. Of course, they have referred back to BNP's experience of forming government and running Bangladesh before. So, what
yes,
is he referring to?
This is interesting because BNP, the BNP's opponents, particularly Jamaat and NCP, they have been alleging that BNP in the past didn't perform well. They didn't keep their pledges, and malgovernance, of accusations of corruption, etc. Lots of things they're leveling against the BNP. So probably this is in response of that criticism that their party is the only party which has the experience of governing the country actually. Jamaat never independently ran this country,
Right.
Though they were part of the alliance which previously ruled in the country. Also, NCP is a new outfit, completely new political outfit. There's not much experience other than Nahid Islam's a few months in the interim government. So this is actually drawing to or alluding to the issue of whether there is enough experience in governing a country or running the country's affairs. But it's not a freehand checkbook for BNP also, because BNP's current leadership, Tariq Rahman was never in the government. Tariq Rahman was the leader of the ruling party,
Right.
though a joint secretary or acting secretary before, but not above that and not in a cabinet role himself. The other major senior leaders, most of them are around 80s, in their 80s. So probably they won't be able to continue in the government for too long, even if they start in the starting cabinet if they win. So experience issue might not be very useful for the party itself. But on the other hand, they have experienced MPs, lots of experienced MPs they are running for office. So probably that gives an advantage to the BNP, and the BNP chief is trying to exploit that
emotion.
Yeah.
Right. Now, the interim government is obviously wrapping up its tenure, and today, Chief Advisor Mohammad Yunus has said, yes vote will end misgovernance, usher in new Bangladesh. Last minute sort of.
It is expected. He would say it definitely, because it was his sort of promise to the nation to bring in reform in governance and other aspects of social contracts and many parts of the society which directly being affected or involved closely. So you think about judiciary, you think about the parliament, you think about the corruption issue, all these basic issues, he promised reform and he had that agenda. And this referendum is clubbed together all those reform proposals.
Right.
So definitely he would like to have a yes vote in favor of that, and that's what he called for. So this is quite expected.
And he has also thanked the top bureaucrats for cooperating with the government.
Again, this is a customary thing.
Right.
Final cabinet meeting, final meeting with the secretaries. But one thing I must sort of mention here, that these bureaucrats are the reason that reforms have not been implemented totally or even partially. It's not only my observation. I led one of the reform commission, and I know from my experience that media commission's recommendations, not a single one was implemented because there were sort of internal pressure resistance on the part of the bureaucracy. But it's also the view of civil society organizations like Transparency International, like CPD, like Center for Governance. So lots of organizations, they have said that all reform process actually was stalled because bureaucracy actually derailed those reform processes.
Now, going back to the last major developing story that we have, and I think we are going to see a sort of final sort of result or final development tonight, late tonight, that Bangladesh and US are all set to sign reciprocal tariff deal tonight.
Yes, this deal, we also talked about it yesterday, and we are still waiting to see what in the deal, what contains this deal. Little bits and pieces of information what we are getting is that probably tariff on Bangladesh's garments exports might be cut
using US cotton.
Yes, might. No, I'm not sure about using US cotton. Generally, it could be cut by 2%, from 20 to 18%. But the latest development, we are hearing that yes, it could be zero if they use US cotton. But I'm not sure.
No confirmation yet.
No confirmation yet. And also, Bangladesh has already started buying US cotton in a bigger way than previously it used to. Previously, it used to source cotton from Central Asia, India, and also China. Some from Turkey, but also some from USA. But increasing it in a bigger way. That has already started, but we haven't been rewarded enough in terms of tariff reduction. So I'm not sure how much relief we will get. One thing we need to remember here, that India has already struck a deal
Right.
with the United States, and the Indian government has sold it as a great deal for India. India has achieved quite a lot through this deal. But a closer look, critical look on this issue by the, if you read an article in the Wire, you will see they have commented that East India Company would have loved this kind of deal because it's just one-sided deal. US will benefit
Right.
most than India. So we don't want similar thing happen to Bangladesh. That's the problem.
Thank you so much, Kamal Bhai, for being with us here. That's all from us tonight. Stay tuned for more. Thank you.